This boy's life mattered. You probably have no idea who he is and won't recognize his name when I tell you it, but I'm sure if I flashed up these pictures, you'd be able to tell me all of their names, when they died, and who killed them. So why isn't Canon Hinnant, a 5-year-old boy who was shot in the head and killed while riding his bike this week, receiving the same attention that criminals like George Floyd and Michael Brown did? Where are all the protests? Where are all the marches? And where is the national outrage? There is none. And the reason is very simple. Because Canon was white and his killer was black. Therefore, his life isn't important to Democrats, and it's racist to even report on this. The story of Canon's death is one of the most horrifying and saddening things you'll ever hear, and the media silence is even sadder. WRAL.com reports, before he went to the funeral for his 5-year-old son on Thursday, a Wilson man tearfully recalled the boy's brief life and tragic death. Canon Hinnant was riding a bike outside his father's home when a neighbor walked up to him and shot him in the head, witnesses told police. They were just playing in the yard like any other day, Austin Hinnant said Thursday of Canon and his 8- and 7-year-old sisters. Hinnant said he heard a gunshot as his fiancee walked into the house on Archers Road at about 5:30 p.m. The article continues, Darius Sessoms, 25, was charged with first-degree murder in Canon's death and was arrested Monday in Goldsboro. Hinnant said he has lived next door to Simmons and his parents for 8 years and even had him over for dinner just on Saturday. The Lord says to love our neighbor. I have plenty of food to go around. I just wanted to be nice, Hinnant said, noting that he and Sessoms sat on his porch and drank a beer. He said he had never had any confrontations with Sessoms. There wasn't anything between me and him, any bad blood whatsoever, for him to have a reason to do this, he said. After Canon was shot, Hinnant said he scooped the wounded boy into his arms. I screamed, somebody, please help me save my son. Help me save my son, please, he said. The article concludes, a neighbor came over with an EMT bag, he said, adding that he fell to his knees and prayed aloud. You can't imagine what it's like to hold your son in your arms with a gunshot wound to the head and his blood is running down your arms, he said. Meanwhile, he said, Sessoms was pacing nearby, gun in hand, before driving off. I was looking at him as I was picking up Canon, he said. I was so full of rage, but I couldn't leave my son's side. I wanted to be with my son, Hinnant said. He has no idea why Canon was killed. Just yesterday, the Hinnant family said their final goodbyes to Canon as they laid him to rest in Wilson, North Carolina. But Canon didn't get sent off like a hero. He's not being treated like a saint, and he didn't die while committing a crime. He was an innocent 5-year-old boy that died a senseless death for absolutely no reason. And yet the mainstream media has barely said a peep about him, which is strange considering how much attention they gave to 12-year-old Tamir Rice when he was killed by police after aiming a toy gun at people in a park that everyone thought looked very real. And yet Canon Hinnant, who was murdered in cold blood while riding his bike outside his home, gets silence. Matt Walsh hit it out of the park in a tweet the other day where he wrote, reverse the races, and this is the only thing anyone talks about for a month. Actually, I think it would be the only thing they talk about for at least 1 to 2 years if the left is still rioting over George Floyd nearly 3 months after the fact. Could you imagine the outrage if a white man senselessly shot a black child outside of his home? The outrage would far surpass anything we've seen with the George Floyd protest. Canon Hinnant's life mattered too, unless you are racist. Someone's skin color should not be a factor when deciding if we should memorialize someone's death. If you are going to be selectively outraged over the deaths of only black people, but ignore the gruesome murder of a 5-year-old white boy, then I have some news for you. You are racist. I have a lot more opinions that I want to tell you guys about this that I'm afraid would get me censored here on social media, which is why you need to go to libertyhangout.tv right now to watch the full uncut version of this video. I wish I could give you guys my full opinion right here, but we all know big tech won't let us. But if you go to libertyhangout.tv, you'll be able to see my uncensored thoughts. So not only has the left been completely silent about the murder of Canon Hinnant, but when the mainstream media finally did decide to report on it, they approached it much different than any other story. Before I show you CNN's article about Canon, let me show you some other stories they've written very recently. A new video shows another black man in custody pleading, "I can't breathe," before his death. After a white man repeatedly erased girls' Black Lives Matter chalk drawing in front of her home, neighbors stepped in to show support. White woman who called police on a black man birdwatching in Central Park has been fired. The black children who had guns drawn on them in a stolen vehicle mix-up are traumatized, the mother says. And then here's the headline that CNN wrote about Cannon Hinnant. A 25-year-old man has been charged in the shooting death of 5-year-old Cannon Hinnant. Okay. The propaganda here could not be any more clear. They only mention someone's race when they can paint white people in a negative light and paint a black person as a victim. But when the roles are reversed, it's just a 25-year-old man and 5-year-old Cannon Hinnant. In fact, in the article itself, there is zero use of the word white, zero use of the word black, and zero mention of how he was shot in the head. Whereas in this article, CNN made sure to let you know 8 times that the children in this video were black. And in this article about Amy Cooper, CNN was sure to let you know 6 times that she was white. Because obviously you can't tell from just watching the video. But when Cannon Hinnant was killed in cold blood by his black neighbor, suddenly the color of their skin doesn't matter anymore to CNN. There isn't even anything wrong with CNN's headline about Cannon. In fact, more of their headlines should probably be written this way and exclude anyone's race from the title. It's just hypocritical that race is only important to them when Whitey is the bad guy and the black person in the story is a victim. And it reveals all the propaganda behind the mainstream media and behind Black Lives Matter. If they cared about innocent lives, there would be huge protests in the street right now for Cannon. But the problem is that they don't care. And the only reason they don't care is because he was white. But I know you guys aren't that heartless and you guys will care about Cannon's life and the lives of anyone else who dies, regardless of their skin color. That's why I'm urging you guys to share this video and share this GoFundMe called Justice for Cannon to help his parents with their funeral costs and grieving. You can find the link down below in the description. Let's say his name and let's make his photo just as recognizable as a photo of George Floyd. His name is Cannon Hinnant, and his life mattered too. Go to libertyhangout.tv right now to watch Caitlin Bennett Uncensored. Not only will you get to watch exclusive content from me, but you'll get to say you stood for the truth, you stood against radical leftism, and you stood up for America. If you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to like and share, hit that subscribe button, and click the notification bell so you won't miss any of our videos. If you want to support my work, you can become a patron at patreon.com/CaitlinBennett and receive cool perks like an autographed photo from me in the mail each month. Or you can go to CaitlinBennett.org and get up to 75% off and free shipping on supplements and merchandise to support my work and start living a healthy life. My favorite product is Turbo Force because it gives me all the energy I need to make it through a long day of doing interviews. There are tons of other health supplements you can choose from to keep your body healthy during these uncertain times. And check out the website banned.video to see uncensored content from conservative creators that have been erased from social media.